Welcome back to the Sad Fan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad from the previous week in sports. And my God, what a night we had last night. From a blowout in Michigan against Tennessee to a buzzer beater, that buzzer beater that we were all craving all tournament long after what happened to Kentucky and what happened to Wisconsin. We were craving something, right? Wisconsin obviously gets upset. Kentucky gets hit with a buzzer beater to send them into overtime, or hits a buzzer beater to send them into overtime. And here we are waiting for action, waiting for something to occur. And like I said last week, how weird it is that all of our Cinderellas are actually really good basketball teams from really big conferences. Obviously, we had Texas that went in there and did some damage. And then we had Tennessee that tried their best. They did everything they could to make noise, to ruin this tournament, to bust all of the brackets they could possibly bust. But they didn't do a good enough job because Michigan was just too overwhelming. Michigan, I said it at the beginning of this tournament after the first weekend. Michigan is in a position to literally make it to the Final Four, and here we are. Michigan has a ton of talent. They're a well-coached team. They're bigger than most of the other teams in the tournament. But let's get to that exciting buzzer beater that I was talking about just now. Let's get to Duke UConn. Mullins, out of nowhere, hits a three with like 0.2 seconds left on the clock after it goes through, and you just knew it was over for Duke because no one's going to make a comeback there. But why? Why did this happen? Well, it's all Duke's fault. And what's funny about this is Duke is one of those teams, Duke basketball, Duke men's basketball, Duke is one of those teams that purely exists to annoy every other fan base in the nation. That's what Duke is. And whether you had them in your bracket or not, you love to see a Duke go down like this. But I pose this to you. UConn is also one of those teams. UConn is very much a team that kind of exists to irritate and annoy people. And they both have this same sort of swagger or arrogance about them. UConn men's basketball team, Duke men's basketball team. So what do we do with this? Are we happy that Duke won and sad? Are we happy that Duke lost and sad that UConn won? What do we do here? How do we react when these are the two teams that exist to annoy us the most in college basketball? UCLA hasn't done enough in the last 20, 30 years even to really be as annoying and consistent as Duke and UConn are. And last night, we had finally madness happen in March Madness. And one thing that cannot be denied is, wow, that was exciting. And these are moments that I live to watch the videos, the reaction videos. This is like the one thing that makes us all excited to go to social media. It is something like this where we can go and watch the devastation of one fan base just crumbling under what has just happened to their favorite team or their alumni, and they're bawling tears because this was Duke's year. We were supposed to do it. We got the boozers, and they couldn't. They couldn't because UConn was standing there. This is also the year that Hurley called his own UConn team not a Final Four team, not a championship contender team. And now it looks like that motivation tactic worked because here they are in the Final Four against a team that not very many people had in their Final Four in Illinois. And now we have this awesome, beautiful matchup of Arizona, Michigan, and Illinois against UConn. When we see something like this and we see these reaction videos, we both revel, we laugh, we all come together as a nation. So something like this provides that moment to happen for all of us. Now, when I watched this game, I thought it was over when Duke went up by 15 points at one point? 15 points at one point. Duke was up and it's over, right? There's no way UConn can score in bunches to keep up with this, to turn this around. And sure enough, You had to stick with it. You had to hope for something crazy to happen, and it did. And UConn made that comeback. And then in the last seconds, what the hell is Duke thinking? Just get fouled. Allow yourself to get fouled. If anything, it's going to take them time to move that ball back down the court, and you can foul. This was the most insane thing that I have seen in so long. It was such a choke job by Duke. Give UConn their flowers, but it's absolutely a Duke loss. Give Mullins his flowers. What a shot. What a space you have to be in on whatever plane of existence to take that shot and to sink that shot. Nothing but net. And for Duke, where are your heads at? You're up by 2 points. Foul. Get fouled. Make your free throws. You're winning this game if you get fouled. Just make your free throws. So with this going down and the way it did, you're wondering, what are you thinking, Duke? What is the best possible outcome from what you're doing? I don't know what the best possible outcome was, maybe running out the clock, but I know what the worst possible outcome was, and that was UConn doing what they were able to do, right? Duke will always have the Christian Laettner moment, but now UConn has the Mullins moment that will play forever, and that is Duke's fault. Duke is on both ends of that spectrum. The tragedy, the humiliation, the lifetime of watching this happen to your team is your fault. You will be on this end, and then years and 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 years ago at this point, you have Christian Laettner and Grant Hill. Okay? So at both ends of this, wow. How much fun did we have this tournament? How much fun do we have coming still in this tournament? This has been fantastic. This has been a fun March Madness. Like I said, it's weird. We've got an Iowa that is a Cinderella. It's weird. We've got a Tennessee that is a Cinderella. It's weird that we have a Texas that is a Cinderella. But it is so much fun. We need to stop tinkering with this tournament, and we need to just accept how great this is. Now, one of the things that's come from this tournament is LSU has a new basketball coach, right? LSU has a new basketball coach. Well, kind of. The LSU Tigers went ahead and rehired Will Wade. Why is this funny? Well, this is hilarious because, first of all, Will Wade, who is a total dick, like a total male appendage, comes out and he talks a lot of smack to reporters and people just doing their job. And a lot of the stuff he's saying is, I'm not going anywhere. I've got a contract here. We knew what we were going to do here at North Carolina State was not a 1-year job. There's so much more to come. And he did. He made it to the tournament in his first year. And then did he keep his word? Of course not. But he's probably one of those coaches that loves to get on his high horse and tell players what they have to do, to tell players how long they have to stay. Meanwhile, Will Wade has no ethics, no morals, kind of like a GM we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. Eric DaCosta, we still see you. We haven't forgiven you. We know who you are. We know you're a coward. But Will Wade, you're right there with them. And yeah, you should be allowed to take the best job, but you should in turn be able to take it when players leave you. And that is the climate we're in. Now, why was Will Wade available for LSU to rehire? Why was this something that was even on the spectrum of possibilities for the next head coach of LSU basketball? Well, years ago, before NIL, Will Wade was terminated from LSU for paying players. So what's really funny about this is they're bringing Will Wade back saying, well, you can pay players now. Everything you were doing that we fired you for, it's legal. So I guess you being, not the greatest human on earth, you being not the most loyal human on earth, that's all okay because everything we terminated you for is allowed now in today's game. So let's take a look at that and let's bring back somebody that may not be ethically right, may not be morally right, but fits the bill in how corrupt can he be to get these players in now that we have a sort of legal corruption. How can he appeal to our boosters to get these players paid enough to want to come down to Baton Rouge and play for the LSU Tigers? Well, We know how corrupt he can be because he was doing it before. And when he was doing it before, LSU was winning. And that's exactly where we want to be again. We want to be winning. Can we blame them? Not in the year of our Lord 2026, we can't. No, we cannot, because it appears that that is what is in. People are willing to look the other way for corrupt people to get their way and go ahead and slide into spots that maybe we should have a few more thoughts prior to hiring them about, hey, is this the right move ethically? Is this the right move morally? But we don't care about that. All we care about is W's, especially in sports. And Will Wade, I can't just say he's the perfect coach for LSU. He is the ideal only coach for LSU. He's already been able to do it at LSU. He was on his way to being one of the best coaches in the NCAA when he was at LSU. So what changes now? All that changes is it's legal for him to do exactly what got him fired what got him fired in the first place. All right. It is absolutely legal for him to do that now, and he absolutely will. And I think that we're going to see LSU on the ascent. Now we've got such a crazy thing going on in the SEC where we've got Calipari, Kentucky. We've got Barnes at Tennessee still making noise. We've got Texas in the SEC and what they were able to do. The SEC is trying to compete with the Big Ten as far as basketball is concerned. But one thing is true. Big Ten has 2 teams in the Final Four, and the SEC has none. All right, let's talk about the women's bracket for just a bit. UConn and Gino look like they are at it again. UConn looks like we have a collision course between them and UCLA unless South Carolina has anything to say about it. And they might. But I've got to take my hat off to Hannah Hidalgo in Notre Dame because she played out of her mind in this tournament. She was fantastic. And it was great to watch her and a 6-seeded Notre Dame squad go as far as they were able to go. You had to know once you run into UConn, it was over. They just don't have the talent to match up with what is an extremely talented UConn squad. And South Carolina, I don't think does either. But South Carolina is well coached. They've got great defense. And maybe if they can slow UConn down, they can play with them. But UConn is going to run, and they're going to be one of the best coach teams also. I just don't know if anyone can stand in their way with as much talent as UConn has this year. It doesn't look likely, right? But then you go down, you see UCLA and Betts, and can they do anything about it once they get into the finals? And I do see them get into the finals. I don't think that Texas or Michigan is going to be able to stop UCLA. I think UCLA just has to stay out of their own way, and they can punch their ticket to this final game. But let's get back to this UConn game. UConn thing. UConn is setting themselves up to go on another dynastic run. This team is very deep. This team is very talented. And this team is a very well-coached team. And they're only going to recruit better and better as they continue to win. UConn should be putting every other team on red alert. You've seen what we've done in the past. You've seen what this team is capable of. And we are about to climb back to the height of our powers unless South Carolina has anything to say about it. I like UConn this year. I think they are the best team in women's college basketball. I think they have the most talent in women's college basketball. And I think that all we can hope for now is someone can slow down UConn. And I just don't see that happening. Some weird things happened also in the women's tournament. The Syracuse coach comes out and says, it's not fair. We're always in UConn's bracket. And obviously that's a financial thing, right? There is money involved. Moving these teams around, going all over the country, it costs money, and you have to generate money to get change to occur. And right now, women's basketball has been on the come up for a couple years now, especially at the college level. So I kind of would like to see some changes made with all of the money that these women are bringing in. And that's one of them. I mean, yeah, it's loser's lament for sure from the Syracuse coach, but no one can say she didn't make some solid points. I mean, they are always in the bracket with UConn. Now, at the same time, it's like, hey, beat them. Beat them. Don't just sit back and lament being in the same bracket as them. Go out there and try to win. It looks like a complainer complaining, but she made some good points. She made some solid points about the way these brackets are set up for the women in women's college basketball. I can't say that I agree with the sentences, but I agree with the point that was made. I really do. I am always going to go out there and win then. That's always going to be my stance. But at the same time, maybe we can mix it up a little bit, NCAA. Maybe next year we don't put all the same teams that are always in the same brackets. That would be fun, right? A little bit of a change, something different, something new. Like, I don't know, baseball on Netflix. Now, there is no fan base that can complain quite like the MLB fan base can. MLB likes what they like, and they don't like what they don't like. And they were loud and they were up in arms over this MLB coverage. And I am an L. Duncan guy, but I got to say it was a little rough there. It was a little rough, but I think if we all just calm down, we can get used to something like this and truly enjoy the product that Netflix is trying to produce. They're trying to do something a little bit different. They're trying to do something for everybody with attention deficit disorder that exists out there. All that instant gratification, all the people that grew up with these devices in their hands. They're trying to attract that audience by doing a lot of different things. And yes, the traditional baseball audience is not going to like it at all, but we've got to evolve. And right now, baseball is doing a great job of evolving. They're one of those sports that is fantastically listening and doing things to alter their game enough to get people to watch, to bring people back into the circus tent. And I enjoy baseball again, even though my team is awful. I've been watching. I've been saying, hey, this is a good game. This is a good product we've got going on. The season is still too long, but it's baseball. I think that if we stop complaining for just like a little bit, granted, it wasn't a great first run, but we let a product find its legs. We let something find its legs and show us what they're trying to do with it. And also Netflix, maybe if I had one correction, don't just be, hey, we're Netflix, but also there's baseball. Be, hey, we've got this amazing product that is baseball, and maybe you can have some Netflix on the side. I think that that's the correction that should be made. I think this is good for everyone if it works out. And I think that we should want something like this to work out so we can have more options and more places to watch our favorite teams. I think that that is the best case scenario. Speaking of favorite teams, I need to bring up the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders do not need to trade for A.J. Brown. And then if you're listening to the Eagles general manager, no one will be trading for A.J. Brown. Okay? A.J. Brown should stay where he is. He is at the end here of a very talented career. And you don't need, if you're the Raiders and a young team, to bring him in. If you bring in anyone like that, it should not be someone that is going to rattle a young quarterback in Fernando Mendoza. And that's exactly what A.J. Brown would do. That's exactly what a Stephon Diggs might do, is rattle a very young quarterback that needs to learn, he needs to understand, and he needs to take the reins his way. He needs to develop his style. He needs to develop his leadership in this league. And if you take someone that is a powerful presence, that knows they're a powerful presence, you could destroy him before he's ever built up. So Las Vegas Raiders and Las Vegas Raiders fans, get that idea out of your head. Also, Eric DeCosta, you're a punk. All right. After what you did to Max Crosby, after flying him into an airport that is super far away from your stadium, from your meet and greet, you are pathetic. And I, again, will say, hey, no one ever trade with Baltimore. They are shady business people. Eric DeCosta does not stand on business, and you should. The entire NFL should take a stand and not stand for what went on in Baltimore involving the Max Crosby trade. Thanks so much for joining us each and every week. This has been The Sad Fan, and we will see you next time.